Alright guys, so here's the review of the Tandorio 62MAS Homage. So you probably haven't heard of this brand before. I think it might be a new one, or it's at least one that's not very well known. Not a lot of reviews on YouTube. So I thought I'd check this one out, see if it's any good. So we're trying it out for a while now. Full disclosure, I was sent the watch for free, don't have to send it back, but you know the score. Not going to change the way I do my reviews, going to keep it 100% honest all the time, no matter what. So, the thumbnail suggested that this is a good budget option for a 62MAS Homage. Is that true? Let's get down to it and find out. So, here's the box it comes in. Got the Tandorio branding on there, and then with the logo too. And then underneath we've got the normal standard cardboard box, kind of like the Pagani design ones, the old ones you used to get. So we've got cleaning cloth, then we've got the watch itself. Just pop that to one side for a second. Quickly go over what else is in here. So we've got the little tag with the branding. And then the only other thing in here is the user manual and guarantee card. But get all that out of the way and let's get right down to the watch. So here's the watch itself. Right off the bat you can probably tell this is a sterile dial. They do actually do a branded version as well, but I went with the sterile one because I'm not overly keen on the branding on this one, to be honest. But it is good that they give you the option. They also have a few different dial colour options as well, so I'll probably leave pictures on screen so you can see what they're like. So let's get a zoom in and let's look at that dial a bit more closely. So straight away you can see we haven't really got any AR on this, so it's quite reflective. And that's because it is a domed crystal as well. So you do get some nice distortion from that. We'll be testing in a bit if it's sapphire. And then you've got the usual 62MAS style layout with the dial. All nicely finished. So you've got applied indices. They do match nicely with the surround on them to the hands. Nice silver colour. And again with the date window, the same thing. All seems to be pretty well aligned so far as well. Not noticed any obvious issues. Quickly zoom back out, talk about the rest of the case. So we've got unsigned crown. I think that's the same with the actual branded version as well, you don't get a signed crown. And then we've got the polished sides, which are a little bit of a fingerprint magnet, and do attract scuffs and marks a bit. But it is nicely finished. And then we've got those drilled lugs there as well, which are always good to have. And then the top of the case is just brushed. When it comes to the bezel, we've got a nice coin edge on that. And then the bezel is actually ceramic as well. And it's 120 click, which is nice. It is quite tight, but I'd rather it be slightly tight than loose, because there's absolutely no playing at all. So that is really good. When it comes to the alignment, it's pretty much spot on. Might be fractionally off, but you have to look pretty closely to be able to tell, I think. So, as far as the bezel is concerned, pretty good. I've had far more expensive watches, which bezels just aren't anywhere near as good as that one. So they did a good job with that. When it comes to the strap, if we get its focus, we've got a nice rubber strap, that waffle design. And then we've got a unsigned buckle, but again it's got that nice polished finish to match the sides of the case. So we've actually got quite a nice case back design on this. Get a zoom in. We've actually got that wave design in the centre. And you can see we've got the spec sheet around the outside. So we've got automatic movement, all stainless steel. Actually water resistant 300 metres, which is pretty impressive. Sapphire crystal. We'll be testing that in a second. But the fact that it's 300 metre water resistance is a nice touch. Because you've also got a screw down crown as well. In fact, I'll quickly talk about that now, because this is another interesting thing with this watch. So they actually have two different movement options. They've got the NH35, which I've got in this one, but they also do a PT5000 as well, for not a lot more. So if you want to pick up a nice cheap PT5000 watch, this isn't a bad option. So pop it out twice, quickly move those hands out of the way. So pop it out once now, you can change the date, pop it out again, second hand stops, so we've got hacking, and then obviously we can just change the time. Pop it back in, second hand ring engages. The usual good stuff we'd get with the NH35. So now let's test whether it is actually sapphire crystal. Using the trusty diamond selector too. And yep, we have got sapphire crystal. So again, another nice thing to have at this kind of price. So now let's get onto the dimensions before we check out that loom. So we'll start with the main one, the one that may be a bit of a deal breaker for some people, and that's the thickness. So we've got a thickness of 14.8, which isn't slim by any means. When it comes to the case diameter, the case is actually 40, but because the bezel sticks out just past it, when you include the bezel, it's 40.7. We've got 20mm lug width, and then the all important lug to lug is just over 50, 50.2. So not the smallest dimensions. So that could be an issue for some people with smaller wrists. If you've got a large wrist, obviously not going to be an issue at all. But I'll show you what it's like on a wrist in a bit. Before we do that, let's check out the loom. So you can see we've got a bit there already, but let's charge it up, give it a proper chance. And there we go. So the initial glow is actually pretty impressive, but straight away you can probably tell that the indices are beginning to fade a bit already. The hands are actually really bright. Loom pip is actually pretty good as well, but the indices, as I say, are fading a bit already. To be honest, I wasn't expecting too much from the loom on this, given the price of the watch, but I've been pleasantly surprised with the hands anyway. I would have liked a bit more on the indices. They need a few more layers on there, because it's not patchy or anything, it's just there's not enough of it. They need a few more layers, especially if you want to try and match it up with those hands, because they're pretty impressive. So the hands last for a decent amount of time, not got to worry about them. The indices, they fade quite a lot. Loom pip hangs around, not quite as long as the hands, but a lot longer than the indices. So in terms of overall loom, pretty good. So all it's left to do now is show you what it's like on wrist, and then we'll wrap this up. So this is what it looks like on my 7-inch wrist. So I've actually been wearing this a little bit tighter than I usually wear my watches. I normally have them slightly looser, but with this one, because of that thickness, I've worn it slightly tighter, so it sits a little bit nicer on wrist, I think. So the thickness I don't think is too big a deal, as long as you wear it a little bit tighter, or if obviously you've got bigger wrists. The thing that could be an issue though, is this lug to lug. It's a little on the long side. For my 7-inch wrist, I think I can just about pull it off. Anything smaller than a 7-inch wrist, it's probably going to be too big. So this is going to be a watch for bigger guys really, or at least average or above. As you'd expect with this nice waffle strap, really comfortable, no issues with that. Overall though, I think it's a really nice package, especially for the price they're charging. They're really not asking a lot for this. So you can get it with the NH35 or the PT5000. Normally PT5000 versions of watches I've seen have been quite a bit more than this, so that's pretty impressive straight away. Then you've also got that nice domed sapphire crystal. You've got the 120 click ceramic bezel. When it comes to loom, it's not the best, but the loom on the hand is actually pretty good. Shame they couldn't match the ones on the dial, but again, for the price, I think it's still a pretty good deal. So if you're interested in this piece, as always, links will be down in the description. But that's it for this one guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.